There are a number of ways of adding imagery to a cake, and this is the one I find the easiest. Tracing on a cake can be dangerous. You can ruin a cake by doing that. This way, it's decorating off cake. You can add to the cake when you're finished. You have a better image and a better look altogether. Some people use comic books to trace onto cakes. This way, what we're going to do is we're going to trace on the comic book using a plastic sheet. And using this plastic sheet, like for instance, I have the paper inside of it, you can pull off the icing when it's frozen. You can pull it off and make it easy to put onto the cake. We'll demonstrate this in a moment. This is basically Staples, precisely a Staples protective sheet that I use. And what I do is I make the image and I make it as big as I possibly can, depending on the size of your cake, of course. You can set the size on your printer, and you can go whatever percentage it is, and you can decide how big it's going to be. This way you can, for like this image is good for a half sheet cake or a full sheet cake. And that way, you know, it comes out nice. First step, what I do is I pick one subject. We're going to pick the shield, okay? And in another time we can actually do the border and the background. And that way we can do this in segments instead of trying to do it all in one deal, one shot. We can do it in segments, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to trace the shield as best I can. Don't worry about the black lines or anything yet. You do that when you get towards the end. You fine tune it. Sometimes thicker is better. That way it's easier to pull off. Okay, now we have the outline done. Now the inside you just fill in as you go, and you just take a nice little trowel and just smooth it out. I tend to do is I fill it in, and then what I do is I put it in the freezer. And when I do it and I put it in the freezer, it will harden up, and then I'll take my trowel and smooth it out as smooth as possible. Like using the hot spatula in the water, what we're going to do is the same thing with this, but using a trowel, we're going to do the same thing and smooth out all these wrinkles and make it smooth as possible. Okay, it's not pretty at first, but it gets better as you go. When you smooth this all out, then you do is you take the paper out, and then you look at the shield, and you do your best to make it look exactly like the image you see. And you already have an idea where the line is going to go across the top here. It's going to go right here, the line of the image. And then 66 is right here. And what I usually do is I usually make a gray, in this instance it's gray, the color is gray. And what I'll do is I'll take a little bit of icing, a little bit of water, and it's a tad of black, just a little tiny of black to make the gray. And then I'll just make a little paste. Then I'll take a little paintbrush and I'll paint on the 66. And then on top of that, I'll put, in this case, what's called Old LA. This is a district here in Los Angeles. And I'll put that on top of that to make it kind of a 3D look, okay? Everything on here except for the shield will be freehand, okay? You'll be doing a freehand with a black and border. There's actually black going around the border. So you put a border of black with a line going across, and that's basically just like the old shields back in the day for Route 66. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the gray paint, and we're gonna paint the 66 in there. And then on top of that, we're gonna put Old LA. Okay, Old LA will be right here, and when you do that, you pretty much have the whole object done. And right above here, it's going to say Historic Highland Park. Okay, and that's the district we're working, we're doing a shield for. and you want to keep it cold. And then as soon as it warms up, put it back in the freezer because you don't want it too soft. You can't freeze this. It's better to add it frozen as best as possible, especially for transference. If you transfer it when it's too warm, it'll break, and you don't want that to happen. Once this is frozen, the imagery is done, and it's frozen, completely frozen. I will take my little trowel here, my spatula, and go underneath between the plastic and the image itself. And what happens, you'll loosen it up. Now, as soon as you loosen it up, put it back in the freezer, at least a half an hour more. That way, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You want it solid. And then you can transfer it onto the other image, which would be this purple image. Once you're done with the shield, and you're going to transfer it to this purple image you see here, this will be done another time on another sheet. You'll have like a couple of these sheets done, okay? Once you have the purple done, it's going to be a full sheet of purple going all the way across, meeting with this orange down here, okay? Once you get those two images together, you set the shield on top. And then mind you, the shield must be frozen to put on top or it'll break on you, okay? Once that's on, you're pretty much good to go. And all the rest of the lettering down here, you can add that, and boom, before you know it, you have this beautiful shield. And like I said, it turned out beautiful when I did it, and it's easy to do. And this works for any image whatsoever. I've done a lot of images using this technique, and it works out beautiful every time. The end result is what you see right here. It's pretty much an easy way to decorate. And what I did to fill up the edges, I did little pearl drops around the edge just to fit it with the cake. And it turned out really well. The reason why I don't like using the comic book tracing is it's a lot more work. It's tedious. It's also, you can actually, more mistakes you can add on the image as well as on the cake itself. And you can ruin the cake. Yes. Oh, and you can ruin the cake by doing that too, because you're doing the image on the cake, not just on a sheet like this. You can, if you mess this image here up, you can fix it or redo it. And you mess the image on the cake, you have to almost possibly maybe have to redo the cake, and you don't want to do that.
Hey cake poppers, and welcome to another fun and easy tutorial on how to make your own no-bake cake pops. It's so wonderful, and it's going to taste delicious, and of course it totally cuts down on the mess.